You are utterly exhausted, not because of the heavy hours you put into your work, but because you are secretly waiting for your job to finally turn around and tell you that you are worthy of being loved. If you are ready to unravel these hidden knots in your mind, please subscribe to the Psyche Unfolding channel so we can explore these quiet corners of the soul together. Have you ever noticed that heavy, suffocating weight that settles on your chest as the weekend fades and a new week begins? It is not just a simple reluctance to return to your tasks. It is something much deeper. It is fear. A deep, bone-aching terror that you are about to step onto a massive stage where you must perform flawlessly or risk losing your entire sense of self. We live in a society that tells us our absolute highest calling is to find something we call the dream job. We hunt for it as if it were a magical key that will finally unlock the door to our happiness. We imagine a flawless place where our unique talents are perfectly seen, where our daily efforts are endlessly praised, and where we never have to feel inadequate, lost, or frightened again. We are told that if we just find this perfect career, all the broken pieces of our lives will magically fall into place. But I want to tell you a quiet truth that I have observed over many years of watching human beings struggle, burn out, and fall apart. The dream job is a ghost. It is a brilliantly disguised illusion, built not from our professional ambitions, but from our oldest, most unhealed childhood wounds. When we walk into our places of work, we do not leave our past at the door. We drag it in with us, invisible but incredibly heavy. We project the faces of those who raised us onto the people who evaluate our daily labor. We turn our superiors into parents, and we turn our mundane tasks into ultimate tests of our fundamental worth as human beings. We are entirely unaware that the office has become a stage where we are replaying the oldest tragedies of our lives. Think about the days when you push yourself to the absolute edge of breaking. You say yes to every unreasonable demand. You silently carry the weight of others, and you frantically try to anticipate every possible problem before it ever happens. You are like a small, wound-up clockwork bird, desperately singing until your internal springs snap, just to prove you belong in the cage. If you make a tiny mistake, your mind immediately spirals into catastrophe. A single overlooked detail feels like a fatal flaw. You believe you will be cast out, abandoned, and finally exposed as a fraud. I see this specific pattern so clearly in people who grew up having to frantically earn their love. If you were only noticed when you were perfect, or if you had to constantly manage the unpredictable moods of the adults around you, you learned a very painful lesson early on. You learned that love is a transaction. You learned that your presence is a burden unless you are being intensely useful. And now, as a grown adult, you treat your job like a demanding, volatile lover. You overwork yourself, sacrificing your sleep, your peace, and your health, hoping that if you just produce enough, if you are just irreplaceable enough, you will finally secure a permanent, unshakable safety. You believe that the next promotion, the next praise, or the next flawless presentation will be the magic spell that cures your internal emptiness. But the safety never comes. The moment the praise stops, the crushing anxiety rushes back in, like cold seawater violently filling a sinking ship. You are caught in a relentless, exhausting cycle of proving your right to exist, day after day, year after year. Or perhaps your pain takes a completely different shape. Perhaps you fall on the opposite side of the spectrum. Maybe you are someone who constantly drifts from one position to another, feeling a creeping sense of suffocation whenever a role demands too much of your true self. The moment expectations rise, or the moment you feel tied down to a specific place or a specific team, an invisible alarm bell rings loudly in your chest. You pull away. You isolate yourself, doing the bare minimum to survive, treating your work like a hostile territory you must carefully navigate in secret. You build thick, high stone walls around your heart, refusing to care too deeply about the work or the people you spend your days with. You adopt a mask of cool cynicism. I have watched this tragedy happen in beautiful souls who learned early on that relying on others only leads to bitter disappointment. If no one was there to catch you when you fell, if you were left to cry alone in the dark, you taught yourself that needing anything from anyone is dangerous. So you treat your entire career as a necessary evil, holding it at a safe distance. You tell yourself you are just fiercely independent, just detached, but beneath that cold surface is a frightened child who flatly refuses to be vulnerable again. You reject the job before the job can ever reject you. You walk through the halls of your life like a silent ghost in an abandoned house, touching nothing, leaving no footprints, and always keeping one anxious eye glued to the exit door. You think you are protecting yourself, but you are actually just trapping yourself in a different kind of prison. Both of these paths lead to the exact same quiet despair, because both are born from the exact same fundamental misunderstanding. We are trying to use our daily labor to heal an emotional starvation that has absolutely nothing to do with work. The myth of the dream job is precisely this profound confusion. It is the desperate, unspoken hope that a career will finally provide the perfect, secure attachment we have been longing for since we took our first breath. We secretly want the job to hold us. We want it to tell us we are safe. We want it to look at us with unconditional eyes and say that we finally belong. But a job cannot do this. A job is not a parent. It is not a savior. It is not a romantic partner. It is simply a mechanism. It is a man-made structure built for the practical exchange of time and energy for resources. When you ask a machine to love you back, you will always walk away with empty, bleeding hands. The machine does not possess a heart to give you. It can only consume the fuel you feed it. Recognizing this harsh truth is not a tragedy. It is the most profound awakening you can possibly experience. It is the exact moment the thick, disorienting fog finally lifts from the dark forest road, and you see the path home clearly for the very first time. I want you to take a slow, deep breath right now. Feel the air moving steadily into your lungs. Feel the sheer miracle of your biological existence, completely separate from anything you have ever produced, managed, or achieved. Your worth is not tied to your daily output. You do not have to pay endless rent for your space on this earth, with frantic productivity. You were born worthy of taking up space. The real healing begins the exact moment you stop asking your career to fix your soul. Imagine standing on the completely exposed edge of a dark, raging ocean. For years, you have been frantically trying to swim against the massive, freezing waves, fighting the brutal current, exhausting your aching muscles until you feel you are surely drowning. That dark ocean is your endless need for external validation. It is your belief that you must fight to be loved. But right behind you, just a few feet away, is a solid, quiet shore. You do not have to keep swimming. You can simply turn around and walk out of the violently churning water. You can step onto the solid, warm sand. You can let the job be just a job. When you stop projecting your deepest emotional needs onto your work, a beautiful, expansive silence enters your life. You can still do incredibly excellent work. You can still create, build, manage, and contribute to the world. But you begin to do it from a place of deep internal freedom, rather than a place of terrified desperation. You are no longer a frightened child trying to earn a permanent seat at the dinner table. You are a grounded adult, walking the earth with quiet, unshakable dignity. If this realization brought you a moment of genuine peace, I invite you to subscribe to the Psyche Unfolding channel, as we have so much more to discover together. But finally standing still, you finally realize that the unconditional love and absolute safety you have been frantically searching for in every office, in every task, in every fleeting word of praise, is something you must cultivate within your own chest. You are the one who must look at your own reflection in the mirror and say, "You are enough." You are the parent you have been waiting for. You are the safety you have been trying to earn. You can let go now. You can take off that incredibly heavy, rock-filled backpack you have been hauling on your shoulders for so many hundreds of miles. Let it drop to the floor. Hear the thud as it hits the ground. Notice how light your shoulders suddenly feel. Notice how easy it is to stand up straight. The endless, exhausting performance is officially over. The heavy velvet curtain has finally fallen on the stage, and there is absolutely no one left in the dark theatre for you to impress. You do not need to be a masterpiece of endless productivity today. You are allowed to just breathe. You are allowed to just exist here, exactly as you are, resting in the quiet, profound knowing that you are finally, truly safe.